Okay.
I already edited.
Okay. So we were looking at challenges. We were looking at the tax system. We were looking at the financial system. There is another video that I think is very interesting, but maybe not in the context of this series, and it's basically the dangers of
It
AI.
doesn't matter. Okay. AI. Go ahead. AI.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
the
like
dangers of AI. It's a TED talk. I was very inspired by it. It's another danger, and actually it plays a very important role because actually what we see that besides the financial system, besides the tax system, actually automation is also a major threat and a major driver of resentment of the lower and middle class against their governments because they're not doing enough to protect them. But the governments are not identifying this as risk. They like to give it a face. They like to say, okay, it's the rich people, it's the immigrants. We have to be careful because we may lose him now.
No, it's okay.
Okay. No, it's not okay
No,
if we
the
lose.
screen is losing.
Okay.
This is actually recording is this screen,
Okay.
not this screen. But it's okay. Just I don't show your video. You just your face.
Okay. All right. So another danger is automation and what AI can do. And then the question is, okay, so what can we expect from AI? And this is a TED talk from Sam Harris, and it talks about the impact that AI will have and the risks that AI will have, and how likely these risks will materialize.
How going to?
Because of its potency, it's enormous when compared to the development of human intelligence. Because basically we can add mostly like unlimited resources against it. So it's a matter. It is a matter. It can develop. And it can work 20,000 times faster than the human brain can. So if we just keep on pouring resources into this, and he's assuming that we will because of its importance, then AI will, even if we can get it up to the same level as a team of researchers, that team of researchers will operate 20,000 times faster than humans can, because of the brain is biochemical and the AI is electrical, and electrical is 20,000 times faster. That means that if we put a human intelligence to work against a electrical, if like an AI intelligence, then if we put them to work for a day, that will generate the equivalent output of 20,000 days.
But he is talking about only knowledge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Knowledge ahead, but
yes. So what he's talking about is, and it basically, and he's making some assumptions. Is okay. Well, is it likely that it will turn against humans? Maybe not so, but there will come times, given the ant example, that actually then you weigh pros and cons, and when the pros to actually disregard the interest of humans becomes too big, then AI could actually turn itself against humans. Right? So it's possible. Oh, I think your video just crashed.
No, not crashed.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Process.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, what he's saying is that, okay, so since AI has this huge potential, the stakes are very high, because if you can create something that can generate 20,000 times the human output, then that could be a geopolitical risk.
Geopolitical risk.
Because basically, if we manage to develop, let's say, an AI in the US, that can develop our knowledge 20,000 times faster than humans can, then that means that would give us in a half a year we could get a 10,000 years progress in human knowledge if we're just a half a year later. So that could be threatening, and because you can unleash that intelligence on anything, and it could also be for military purposes. Correct?
I miss you. Say again.
So, say, you really need to pay attention here. This is not the very easy talk.
Back up.
So basically, because of the potence that AI has, right? This could be a very powerful weapon if you are only half a year earlier releasing it. If you're only earlier, like for example, China versus United States. If the United States can unleash this AI, can capture the value of the AI, and they would actually use it for geopolitical reasons, for military reasons, then that could be a big risk if China is waiting and is late to come to that game. That means that because of this interest, there is a big incentive to release early, to disregard the risks, because the risks of being late and the cost of being late is just too big. So what he's driving at is that actually, if we could control AI,
this one?
speaker. So if we could control AI, would we? Probably not, because the benefits, the risks of not using AI and another country being there before us is just too big. So what is very likely to happen is what he's driving at, is that we will take a lot of risks with our AI. We will not be focused on controlling the risk, but we will be focused on releasing early, which I believe is very likely.
At this point, I don't understand why he's talking about control risk.
He says if we can control the risk, right? If we can basically say, okay, well, we're not going to use this yet. We are going to control this. We're going to test this. We're going to make sure that we have enough safety measures before taking.
Like
the next
for
step.
example, do you know the robot? She's who's her
The
name?
Lord?
Huh?
The Lord?
Yeah, robot.
Robot. Oh, robot.
Robot. She speaks Japanese. No.
Nantoka-chan.
She's not Japanese. She speaks for AI robot. So just they stopped developing.
Was it line? Wasn't it that line robot? You because she was had bad manners, did you?
No.
Not
This
that
is I'm talking about European robot. Is,
Okay.
Most advanced one,
Mm-hmm.
and they stopped developing AI because she is getting more intellectual. So they feel it very risky
Okay.
for developing her attitude for human being. So I stopped some development or something. I heard that I watched some YouTube somewhere.
Okay.
Is this right? What you mean, right? Risk control means
So risk control.
we
what-
try to manage.
What he's saying is that there are two kinds of risks. There's one risk of the AI itself, and there's the risk of the country. There's a risk that you are late and that other people have actually managed to develop AI before you. Because AI is so potent, because it's so powerful, if you are not reaping the benefits of it, other people will, and that will create a big disadvantage. That is also a risk. So there are two risks. There's the risk of AI itself, and there's a risk of not having AI.
It means we cannot control it.
Exactly. That's the point. That's the point.
The kind of the same as for what just making a human being
Nuclear weapons.
The same.
Yeah.
Cannot control it.
Right.
Even if anybody prohibited it, somebody will want to make it. Right? Right.
Don't you mean poverty countries couldn't use AI because of no money? That is a very risk of the world. Rich country could use AI,
Right.
and they could get more rich. The poverty country goes more poverty.
Right. So, well, of course, AI has is not only software; it's also hardware, processing power, infrastructure, and all these things. So it's very likely to stay within the hands of the rich countries.
The AI could make a big distance from the rich country and the poverty country.
Definitely.
That's the risk of the world.
Definitely. So, and then being first could mean a lot.
No.
Being not first also means a lot.
No.
So there is a very big incentive to say, okay, it might go wrong, but if we don't do anything, the others might get to it first, and if it goes right, we're screwed.
What he said, what he mean?
What he's saying is that actually,
No, he
given
said
these circumstances,
500,000, no, 5,000 years ahead. What does this mean?
so if we harness the power, the potential power of AI, then we would be able to generate knowledge, generate a force that is much faster than humans is. But if you have that force, then you can create a big advantage over your competitors.
Who's he?
I don't know. I think maybe he's an SF guy.
Because I'm studying programming now. The reason is anybody talking about AI, what is based upon what, right? I'm based is coding, so
Right.
I know what level we can develop for
He's a
AI,
neuroscientist and philosopher.
right? So this is neuroscientist. What kind of neuroscientist? What he's thinking about? This actually the AI is accumulation of coding.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but the AI is actually not only just the accumulation of coding, it's actually the capacity to not only code, but to actually analyze, to analyze and to improve yourself in order to get
I
better.
know that the base is coding. Okay, go ahead. I don't understand well, but just I want to listen some more what he's talking about.
Okay, so it seems that even mere rumors of this kind of breakthrough could cause our species to go berserk. Now, one of the most frightening things, in my view, at this moment, are the kinds of things that AI researchers say when they want to be reassuring. And the most common reason we're told not to worry is time. This is all a long way off, don't you know? This is probably 50 or 100 years away. One researcher has said worrying about AI safety is like worrying about overpopulation on Mars. Okay, this is the Silicon Valley version of don't worry your pretty little head about it. Okay, no one seems to notice that referencing the time horizon is a total non sequitur. Okay, if intelligence is just a matter of information processing, and we continue to improve our machines, we will produce some form of superintelligence. And we have no idea how long it will take us to create the conditions to do that safely. Let me say that again. We have no idea how long it will take us to create the conditions to do that safely. And if you haven't noticed, 50 years is not what it used to be. And this is 50 years in months. This is how long we've had the iPhone. This is how long The Simpsons has been on television. 50 years is not that much time to meet one of the greatest challenges our species will ever face. And once again, we seem to be failing to have an appropriate emotional response to what we have every reason to believe is coming. The computer scientist Stuart Russell has a nice analogy here. He said, imagine that we received a message from an alien civilization, which read, "People of Earth, we will arrive on your planet in 50 years. Get ready." And now we're just counting down the months until the mothership lands. Okay. We would feel a little more urgency than we do. Another reason we're told not to worry is that these machines can't help but share our values because they will be literally extensions of ourselves. They'll be grafted onto our brains and will essentially become their limbic systems. Now take a moment to consider that the safest and only prudent path forward recommended is to implant this technology directly into our brains. Now this may in fact be the safest and only prudent path forward, but usually one's safety concerns about a technology have to be pretty much worked out before you stick it inside your head. Okay. The deeper problem is that building superintelligent AI on its own seems likely to be easier than building superintelligent AI and having a completed neuroscience that allows us to seamlessly integrate our minds with it. And given that the companies and governments doing this work are likely to perceive themselves to be in a race against all others, given that to win this race is to win the world, provided you don't destroy it in the next moment, then it seems likely that whatever is easier to do will get done first. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a solution to this problem, apart from recommending that more of us think about it. I think we need something like a Manhattan Project on the topic of artificial intelligence. Not to build it, because I think we'll inevitably do that, but to understand how to avoid an arms race and to build it in a way that is aligned with our interests. When you're talking about superintelligent AI that can make changes to itself, it seems that we only have one chance to get the initial conditions right. And even then, we will need to absorb the economic and political consequences of getting them right. But the moment we admit that information processing is the source of intelligence, that some appropriate computational system is what the basis of intelligence is, and we admit that we will improve these systems continuously, and we admit that the horizon of cognition very likely far exceeds what we currently know, then we have to admit that we're in the process of building some sort of God. Now would be a good time to make sure it's a God we can live with. Thank you very much.
I don't understand his message. What is his message?
So what his message is that actually what he's describing is a very likely scenario what will happen with AI. So what he's describing is that we will be able to build this system. Right? We will be able to build a superhuman source of knowledge because we have the incentives to do it. And it will be because we can do it and because it's a shared value, then the race of actually being the first to get there will be very important because others would not be able to get there first, and basically the potential benefits are enormous. So in this race it's very likely that we will ignore certain things that are of vital interest to humanity. Security, safety, making sure that this thing is not turning on us. These things will, looking too much at security, looking too much at these concerns and these ethical concerns will be roadblocks in the development process. But what will happen if you take too much time to look at these roadblocks, it will slow you down. And that means that other people may get there first. That will mean that the arms race will be focused on getting there as quickly as possible, avoiding as many roadblocks as possible. That will probably mean that we will ignore the risks and that we will end up with a very dangerous situation with untested, unknown superintelligence that could go any other way. So since we are still kind of early in this arms race, now is the time to sit down and think about how can we bring this under control. How can we make sure that this race is not going to be about winners and losers, but how can we develop an AI that will benefit humanity and will not kill it.
It doesn't make sense. Actually, underdeveloping. Nobody can stop it. America military consider for the more wider range of drone system, including tank, soldiers, everything.
Right.
And so operator can manage the operation in Middle East.
They're already doing that.
Yeah, doing now.
Yeah.
So who's going to stop it? Who's going to control those risks? So this is I don't understand what it means.
We're not talking about drones.
Nuclear bomb at global level, they know the risks.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the
So
same
the
as
cat is out of the hat. Yeah.
the AI is the same at that level.
Mm.
But what is his message?
Well, if you put those two together, like if you put AI plus atomic bombs, then you have basically the intelligence and you have the means to actually destroy us. Right?
Right.
So that's very dangerous.
Yeah, AI development is like he's just talking a brain. Embedding brain also dangerous. They need to control something.
Right.
Of course, this is a common sense.
But he says very likely it will not happen unless we really are, before we are actually going to focus all of our efforts into it. Now the benefits of an AI that will rule the planet are still kind of far away. I mean, it's estimated to be 50 years, but it could be less. That's what he's claiming. We don't know.